Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Evelyn. Meditation and mindfulness. I have been meditating it hit me the other day. It's kind of crazy to think about 19 years, give or take. I started meditating back in 2000. I was actually still in high school at the time. I went to a Catholic school, and so we actually had comparative religion as a class. And I actually, what's interesting is that I learned to meditate not through like Buddhism or Hinduism, but I was doing a group project, or I was doing a class project. It wasn't a group project; it was just an individual project where I was studying the Unitarian Universalist Church, and it happened that the local Unitarian church in the area where I grew up had a meditation group. And I don't know why, but 17, 18-year-old Evelyn felt drawn to join this group. And so I started meditating back in 2000. I meditated throughout my college years. I joined various groups, and then I essentially stumbled into Soto Zen Buddhism because I moved to Wichita, Kansas, and it just so happens, Wichita, not exactly a huge city, it just so happened that the group there was Soto Zen. And so I got into Soto Zen Buddhism and I studied that for many years. And when I moved up here to the Pacific Northwest, I joined the Soto Zen group here, attended many retreats, actually ended up going to the head temple of Soto Zen Buddhism, Eiheiji, named after Eihei Dogen, who is the founder of the Soto school of Zen Buddhism. So there's my meditation resume. But I want to help you guys, or I want to give an introduction to meditation today. Forget all of that, right? None of that matters, because what meditation at the end of the day is about mindfulness and coming to the present moment. It doesn't need any tradition put on top of it. It doesn't need any religion put on top of it. So even if you are, a devout Christian, even if you are a devout Muslim, you can have some benefit in a mindfulness practice. And so I really want to talk about mindfulness today. I don't really want to, make it problematic for anybody, because this is a practice that I think we can all use. So let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience behind mindfulness and why it's beneficial. So there's what's called the hand model of the brain. So if you have, your hand, and so here's my thumb. This is the amygdala. This represents the amygdala. This is the reptile part of your brain. It's the reactive part of your brain. All it works on is fight, flight, or freeze. Over that is our more modern human brain. So in my mind, this is what makes us human. This part that goes over the amygdala, this is what makes us human. This overlay, and what makes us in our animal brain, our reactive brain, sits underneath that. And so as we evolved as humans, we evolved this higher level of thinking, and that higher level of thinking, that is what allows us to be responsive as opposed to reactive. This is what allows us as humans to be in a powerful state, is to have some volition and some choice over our actions. When we get triggered, sometimes you can have what they call the amygdala hijack, or flipping your lid, where the amygdala reacts. And that amygdala, again, it's a primal brain. All it knows is fight, flight, or freeze. That's all it can do. All it can operate. And so what meditation and mindfulness helps us to do is stay in our more modern brain. It helps us to put more space between the stimulus that comes at us and our response to that stimulus. It gives us some space to choose our reactions. So we become less reactive and more responsible. It's triggered versus being triggered and just reacting versus responding, right? That's the difference between responsibility, I am responding to a thing, and reactivity, which is I'm just reacting out of habit or, base programming. And so I think, there have been multiple studies now, at this point, we're in 2019, showing that meditation and mindfulness helps us to get better at, or it helps us to cultivate that ability to respond rather than react. And for me personally, I've seen it in my life. And for me, that has been the real benefit and the, I'll say, gift that meditation has given me. And so I know that a lot of people are interested in meditation and how do I set up, how do I get a practice going? What do I do? So there are a few different things that you can do. First of all, in today's world, today's modern, smartphone world, there are a lot of apps out there to help you learn to meditate. And so, especially for beginning meditators, it can be really helpful to have a guided meditation. It could be helpful to have somebody, guide you through a simple meditation on the breath, which is just connecting to your breath, connecting to your body, a grounding practice. It can be there's lots of really great resources out there. My personal favorite is the app called Calm, but I've also done Headspace and I've tried a bunch of the other ones. They're all, like, most of the ones in the App Store or the Google Play Store are good, right? And that's a really great starting point. Another thing that you can do, and this is what I did because I started meditating before there were all these smartphone apps, before meditation was just out there, is find a local group. I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I found a group. Just search your local area, see if you can find a group. I found, for me personally, having a meditation group was extremely valuable because it helped to have a community of people who were helping me learn how to meditate, helping me maintain my practice, helping me have a place where I could go and have a community. And for some of us out there, that community piece is, it's sometimes like bigger than the meditation. It at least gets you in the door, right? I mean, it's just like church, right? Like church, yes, there's the spiritual parts of church, which we all love and need, but there's also the community parts. And that's what I had, and that's what I experienced going to these different meditation communities. So that's a way those are two ways you can get started, right? The barrier to entry is really low. If you just want to do something on your own, just get yourself an app or something. If you want to meet a group, go out there and find a group. So the other question that comes up a lot is, okay, I see value in mindfulness and meditation. I can see why I should do this. How do I set up a habit? How do I get a habit of a practice going, right? So I talked yesterday in my live video, you can check the archive, Freedom's a Choice. I talked about how you have to that's what practice is. Practice is doing a thing over and over and over and getting the reps in, okay? We're talking about practice. We're not talking about the game, we're talking about practice. So practice is every day, right? Or regularly. Like in my early days of meditation, I would go to the Dharma Hall or the Zendo, and I would meditate for an hour a week. I would just go there and I had like a dedicated session, and then every now and then I would go on longer retreats, usually silent retreats for 3 to 5 days, right? In my current situation, partially because of my kids and things like that, and my job and my current schedule, I do a daily practice. So I meditate every single day on my own now. So how do you do that? Like, how do you get a nice daily practice going? And so my advice for people there is start small. Start stupid small. Actually, at my job, we teach there's we call it a Thrive class, and it's all about introduction to mindfulness for leaders and for just, engineers and things like that. And what we teach in that class in the introductory session is just do 2 minutes of meditation for the first week. And that's it. And people, like, they look at that and they say, like, that's nothing. Like, that's not going to get me anything. But what you're doing there of, like, okay, let me practice for, 2 minutes every day for that first week, is you're just getting the practice. You're just getting the repetition and the habit. And once you start to get that habit, once that habit gets stronger, then you can start increasing the time. And what I do is, or what I've done in my past, and now I've got a nice little, routine, is I keep increasing the time until I get to the point where it's pushing my edge a little bit, like your edge in terms of like what I'm able to do, and is still kind of a challenge, but it's not pushing me past the point of breaking. It's not getting to the point where it's like, this meditation is becoming a burden on my life, right? And so for me right now, that sweet spot is 10 minutes. So I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I sit for 10 minutes in the morning every single day, right? And that works for me because, especially my morning routine during the week, so like Monday through Friday, my morning routine is very, we could call it intense. There's a lot of words you could use, but it's very limited, right? So I wake up at 5, I meditate for 10 minutes, and then I come down here. I have an exercise bike set up. I get on the bike for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on, what I'm able to do. And then I need to be out of this house by 6:45. And so I'm putting a lot in that morning time. So 10 minutes is a good amount for me to do every single day. And I find that that's a good grounding practice in the morning. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. The tagline of Bright Star is your path, your journey, because you need to find what works for you. 10 minutes in the morning may not be what works for you. It might be 30 minutes in the afternoon, and that's totally fine. It's whatever works in your practice and whatever helps you get to that grounded state so you can start to reinforce those neural pathways that keep you in that power state and out of that primal state. So there you go, a little introduction into meditation. I wanted to talk a little bit about it because for me, meditation is the basis of any kind of mental training. And again, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to think of it in any sort of religious overtones or anything. And I think that I know has been a barrier to entry for people. When I was in Kansas, we would have people who would sneak to our meditation group and not tell their parents where they were going because they're Christian, they're conservative. I don't want to say Christian because I understand that everybody, I don't want to put a blanket on any particular tradition, but I know that like their family had some, I'll say, confused ideas about what we were doing, right? And they thought that it was a different religion and, that it would impact this person's, religion that they came from. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't need to do that you can still keep your spiritual practice. In fact, the Dalai Lama specifically tells, especially those of us in the West, he says, no, stay Christian, stay Jewish, whatever, wherever you came up, keep that, and you can still meditate, right? Because it is valuable for all humans. So thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.